Shalom, it's Rabbi David Barron with my Torah Talk. Please share this Torah Talk with your family and friends and neighbors. It's sent around the world by a lot of our congregants and a lot of our friends in the community. And we urge you to become a member of Temple of the Arts, either an online member or ideally a live member. In fact, a couple weeks ago, we held our first live Shabbat service here at our beautiful home, the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills. And we had over 500 people joining us for the Shared Heritage of Freedom. That was a beautiful service, welcoming Cantor Nathan Lamb, joining Cantor Alicia Pierce and myself, and our music director Sharon Farber, and the fabulous, inspirational Agape Choir, Agape International Choir. It was a celebration of freedom. We prayed for the freedom of the people of Ukraine. We celebrated the freedom of the ancient Israelites and the struggle of African Americans fighting against the brutality of slavery in the South and around the country during that period of time. So it was a wonderful coming together and celebration, and we want to encourage you to come to all of our events. Check our website. That's templeofthearts.org, or in short, BHTOTA.org, and you'll be updated on all of the events that are coming up. By the way, if you missed the live service, you can now go on to our website and you can watch the live stream, which is now on demand, and be a part of what experience we had together that first time coming together and celebrating. It was such a heartwarming feeling to see people's faces and wishing each other Shabbat Shalom and gathering together indoors. So we want you to be part of that experience, and you can go on our website and check it out. Also on TempleLivestream.com has a copy of that Shabbat service as well. And there'll be many more Shabbat dinners, Shabbat services, and of course, coming up on the great celebration of freedom, the festival of Pesach, the holiday of freedom, Passover, which is going to be observed on the evening of April 15th. Our temple will be holding its annual, 2 years delayed because of COVID, but our annual second night Passover Seder on Saturday night, April 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the beautiful Four Seasons Hotel, which is near Beverly Hills. And we hope you'll come and join us for that fantastic evening. Cantor Pierce and Sharon Farber, our music director, are going to celebrate the Seder, and I'm going to be leading it, and you'll have a great experience, and I might add, a wonderful meal. So please come and join us and support the synagogue. And encourage your family and friends to join us as well for this and all of our great events. And there are some great events coming up in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Check our website and be up to date on all of these special offerings of our Temple of the Arts, your Temple of the Arts. Now, this week's Torah portion speaks about Metzora. It was a disease, a skin disease. Funny story, when my son was bar mitzvah, he pulled this portion because of his birth date. And we laughed. He said, Dad, I'm the son of the rabbi. Couldn't I get a juicy Torah portion like the Ten Commandments? How did I get stuck with skin diseases talked about in the Torah? Well, it's the luck of the draw. But it's much more than a skin disease. The ancients did not know what this disease was. Some called it leprosy, but we're not quite sure. In fact, there are a few variations of this disease that ran rampant through the camp of the Israelites. But if you look carefully at the word Metzora, or Negat Tzarat, as it's described in the Torah, it was an affliction of the skin, and the Israelites didn't quite know how to deal with it. They tried isolating or quarantining people who had the disease so it wouldn't spread further. They weren't quite sure of what it was, and we aren't to this day. We can make speculations. But on a spiritual level, the disease, the root of the word, the rabbis comment upon, Metzora, motzi ra, someone who speaks ill of another, someone who gossips, someone who hurts the reputation of another human being. And we see that happening so much in the cancel culture that we live in. And we have to stand up against that. That's really critical. And so this week's Torah portion, you can look at it on the level of the ancient Israelites dealing with an outbreak of some kind of skin disease, or you can look at it on a deeper spiritual level, how it impacts us. That when we speak ill of another, we don't just hurt the person that's being spoken about. In fact, the commentary says 3 people are injured in an act of gossip. The person being spoken about, the person speaking the gossip and the person listening to or hearing the gossip. So the negativity that's created on such a massive scale can be so harmful. We have to stand up against that. And when someone gossips to us, we have to say, wait a minute, I don't want to hear that. Tell it to someone else, or better yet, don't tell it to anyone. But I'm not going to be a part of that involvement. And that way, the disease, if you will, of gossip is limited and restricted and abates. That's so important for us to think about in the society that we live in today. I'd like to correct something, that a misimpression that people may have gotten in my last sermon that was delivered at our Shared Heritage of Freedom service. I spoke about President Zelensky of the Ukraine, but first I want you to know that we observed a memorial at that service for all of the innocent men, women, and children of the Ukraine who've died at the hands of the brutal and horrific bombing taking place by the Russian military, led by President Putin, who definitely is guilty of war crimes. And when I spoke about President Zelensky, on one hand, I commend his bravery, remaining behind, pleading the cause of his people, and demanding that the world respond. But I was critical of some aspects of his leadership. But that notwithstanding, the bottom line is he's taking a stand for his people, and we have to acknowledge his bravery in doing so. Other leaders would have gotten on a plane and fled, taken their assets and gone away, but he stayed there with his people, and I commend that bravery. Do I commend the fact that his country under his leadership voted against Israel over 30 times in the United Nations? No, I don't. But you have to put that aside at a time like this and recognize that he's standing heroically for the people of the Ukraine. And we have to join together, and I recommended one of the important groups that's rescuing people from the Ukraine, that's helping the refugees on the ground. It's called Hatzalah Ukraine, which means Rescue Ukraine. And many of us are supporting different organizations. The Federation is doing work in the Ukraine, as is HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. Any one of those reputable organizations are worthy of our support during this time. And also, let's pause for a moment now and let's offer a prayer for the men, women, and children who've perished at the hands of the brutal, horrific bombing by the Russian military. And let's acknowledge that we think about them and take them into our hearts and minds at this time. So let's close our eyes and offer a prayer. Dear God, watch over and protect the men, women, and children, the innocent civilian population of Ukraine. Keep them safe, keep them alive, allow them to reach a day when peace will come to their land. And let us say, Amen. We offer that prayer from the depths of our hearts. And when we think about the Torah portion and how much destruction can be caused by negative gossip and negative words, we look at the flip side, all of the good that can be done by people responding in a time of need to helping others. Let's take that message to heart, and I wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom.